Morning everyone, Brett here, Lionheart 84, and I haven't done a walk for a couple of weeks due to the weather. It was raining today, it's now stopped, so it gives me a chance to sort of look at some of the lovely spring flowering plants like this magnificent Magnolia out, and of course various ornamental cherries, apples and pears, but absolutely fabulous Magnolia. I don't plan to be filming much today, maybe a couple of things, so just thought I'd do that just to start off the video, and we'll see if anything turns up of interest today. So here's another colour of Magnolia here. This one's a lovely fuchsia pink colour, obviously a different variety to the one I showed before. Amazing the variation they have in shades of pink. Not much of an expert on Ornamental Prunus, but I would guess this is probably a cherry blossom of some sort. Won't be a fruiting one, it'll be an ornamental one. Won't stay for too long because the camera's going to get wet because it's raining. Just past the cherry blossom there's a load of Shinomeles, the Japanese Quince. Not the big fruited quince, this one produces small fruits, but they are edible and used in jams and preserves. So on with the walk. Here we have another glorious shrub this time of the year in the UK. This one's a forsythia. Always look at their best in February and March. Lovely splash of colour against the dark green of the holly. Now a couple of personal points of interest in this video. This school here, which is called Daglin. The umbrella's flapping around. This was my first school, junior school, primary school, whatever you call it, from the ages of 5 to 11. So I decided to put that on video, so it might be of interest. My personal records. Oh, the umbrella's gone there. That's why I think it stopped raining. Just had to stop and look at this climber for a few seconds. I think this is a Clematis of some kind. Must be the evergreen. It's the one that's evergreen. All those lovely flowers. Another plant puts a lovely display up early in spring. Just stop for a pause for a few seconds at another one of the nice little local ponds we have in our area. This one's at Backus Hill. The ones I've showed you before were at Woodford Green. Not so many birds on this one, just a handful of ducks at the moment. Careful to trip over a root and go for a swim. At least the water's nice and clear on it, it's not too polluted, this one. Oh, it's just seeing off the enemy. Anyway, that's the pond at Backus Hill. Now, just in case you happen to have won the lottery recently and fancy moving to Backus Hill, I gather this lovely Victorian semi-detached house is currently on the market with 6 bedrooms. For £1.3 million, so you need a fair old chunk of money. But obviously it's attached to the other house, so it is a semi-detached property. Don't know what size the rear garden's like, but I guess if I win the lottery and I had a big enough garden, I might be interested in having a look. Sadly, my numbers haven't come in. Now, also interest, this is personal interest now, which I thought as I'm walking past I would show. This block of flats here, and you may call them apartments or flats depending on where you come from. This block here, I think we're going to get a look at through the fence. I'm not sure which flat it is. That is where my parents lived in 1964 when I was born. I was born in a hospital, but it's nice to know that the flats, my parents always said they were very well built, good quality flats. They were probably new in the early 60s. but they're still standing and look in excellent condition. And they were actually quite spacious flats at the time. Be interesting to see inside one now, but that's where I was born in '64 for anyone interested. Now, just past those flats of people who like interesting houses, I quite like this detached house here. It's called Rose Cottage, but I like it because of the unusual arched Gothic type windows. But it's got some lovely period features inside it. Nice front garden with plenty of car parking, but I suspect it hasn't got much for garden at the back. What a pretty looking house to my tastes. Looks like it should be right out in the country, I guess. You can see the result of some of the high winds we've had recently. This is the footpath, and substantial sized trees come down. From what I can see there, looks like it was about a 35-40 foot tall tree. Not sure what it was, but obviously it's blocked the footpath, so it's out in the road to get past it. Shame, but it does happen every so often with this kind of when we get these quick storm blasts. So here behind this hedging and undergrowth here is one of the largest private schools in the area. Needless to say, I didn't go to this school. This one is called Bancroft's. That's quite a good reputation. I suppose it was probably the enemy of the school that I went to. Some of my friends from my first school went here, and some went to the same school as me. But it's a lovely big old historic building. It looks more like a castle than a school. As you can see, a wonderful building from the front. Don't know much about its history or how old it is. I guess I'd have to look it up, but anyway, if you want to Google it, it's called Bancroft School. Now, just thought I'd stop here. On the side of the road is a memorial that no one ever sees here, but it's tucked away from the road a little bit. And it's called the AntiAir War Memorial. Now I'll just stop there for a minute, and then you can pause the video if you want to, should you want to read it and see what the memorial was about. Sculpted in 1935, so pre the Second World War, which it obviously didn't help with. Hence the reason it's got a bomb on it. And next to it is an interesting, a nice, another flowering cherry. Almost looks too nice to be a wild sown one. Perhaps it was planted there by somebody. So here's another type of magnolia here. I think this one's Magnolia stellata. Actually, I can smell the scent as well, so it's a lovely scent as well. What a lovely, lovely plant. Amazing when you walk around here, and you sometimes see some very unusual style houses. Look at this one with odd arches on. Probably built as an annex to this house here, as it's got arches in the wallway. It's not my taste, but certainly quite unusual. I don't know how old they are, what period they are. Interesting, yeah, they've got conifers growing in the arches, but a nice location. Look, dead opposite the forest, so you can go for a walk without any issues with your dogs if you have them. Do not like the front of them at all, to be honest. That's definitely not my taste. Now I'm just debating whether to walk through the forest, if it's going to be too muddy or not today. Doesn't look too bad. Never been in this part of the forest, so I'll walk along it and see how we go, and if it gets too muddy I'll step back onto the road. Well, thanks for joining me for part of my walk today. I didn't film much of it. I've done about 6.5 miles in total, about 10.5 kilometres. So all I did was pick out a handful of interesting spring flowering shrubs and trees, and and a couple of personal places of interest that I thought you might like to see. So thanks for joining me, and appreciate it you watched most of the video. I'm back home to do some work in the garden now, hopefully now it's not raining. I'll catch up with you on the next video.